Welcome to the Asian Dating Podcast. I'm your host, May Bugenhagen. I am the founder of Two Asian Matchmakers, which is a boutique matchmaking company that helps men all across the US meet Asian women all across the US and in Asia. And every week I have a guest come on my show, the Asian Dating Podcast, so we can talk about dating and the challenges of dating, what you can do, help the audience out there, no matter what age you are, 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 80s. I'm here to help. So I have a special guest today. I have Joanna Mandell. She goes by Jojo, and she is a matchmaker with After Hello. And she's been doing this for quite a while and has a great background in PR and public relations at NBC to a professional matchmaker now. And she is a great communicator. And today we're going to talk about flirting. So welcome to the show, Jojo. How are you?
I'm great. How are you today?
Good, good. Of course, I'll put your whole bio in the show notes, but thank you so much for coming on today to talk about flirting because a lot of times when we talk about flirting, I think people wonder, like, oh my gosh, what if I don't have the skill? Get my partner excited to meet me or smile at me or be all giggly and stuff. Now, what is your definition of flirting?
It's so interesting because I feel when I'm even having a conversation with you, May, and don't take this the wrong way, but I feel like a conversation can be seen as flirting. And I mean that because when you're connecting, talking, and having some sort of feeling or conversation, to me, that can be seen as flirting. I think sometimes people use that word in a way where they think they need to be, I don't know, like more touchy-feely or more like with a sexual vibe or some kind of thing where has this idea that makes it seem a little scarier. And to me, flirting is connecting with a warm attitude and a warm way. And I think sometimes people just are scared of the word. What do you think?
I agree. Flirting, I'm just thinking back about me going to the gym and talking to people of the same gender, even. Like you're
Mhm.
just making jokes, you're making light of something, you're smiling, you're just
Right.
being warm. So I think flirting just has this connotation of, I don't know, something where it gets people anxious. Like, what if I'm not good at connecting? But it's really just being friendly, right? Flirting
That's
is really,
exactly what I think.
yeah.
Being friendly. And I think social media has made it so we can hide behind, our phones, our computers, cameras, all of those things. And eye contact is something that we have forgotten how to have too. And I know even growing up, I have brothers, and sometimes they would say to me, if you make eye contact with, a guy, like you're going to be hitting on him in some way and he's going to get the wrong idea. And I don't believe that that is the case, especially when you want to be out in the world finding people. And I also say it with friends. You can use the same kind of warmth, finding a new person in your life and being available and being a little more vulnerable and open. And that to me can be a sign of flirting. Now, when we go on dates, I understand like people need to be a little warmer, or there's some kind of body language if you're into somebody that may be a little warmer or a little more connected. But I think we are on the same page here where, you're mentioning the gym and just being open and not so shut down. I think there's just a lot of fear because there are scary people and there are, wrong ideas. But I think when we're trying to meet people, we have to be able to open up and be more vulnerable. You don't need to do the winking really, but it's just like friendship and flirting. Like I don't see that much difference in a general way.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. When you're on a date, though,
Okay.
flirting can be different, where it's almost like I encourage my clients and their dates to make sure that you give them an early compliment.
Yeah.
So that way it kind of make sure you're not being put in friend zone. And
Totally.
it's okay to smile often, and but not just like a smile, like a fake smile, but it has to like go to your eyes, doesn't
I
it? It
was
has to
just
be
gonna
genuine.
say it's the eyes. Yes,
Right.
I was gonna say, and I made a joke about winking, but I don't believe you need to be winking, but there is an eye, there is a smile, there is a warmth and an energy that you should bring to it. And I also think when you're on a date and maybe you're not feeling that connection, people are automatically programmed to just be a certain way where they get, more rigid. And I don't necessarily think because we can communicate that, maybe there's not that connection there. But I think being warm will define you kind of more as a person, like you just showing up in that way. And some people are naturally born with an ability to be warmer, communicate better. Some people are shyer. So, working on that and prepping that, and just even with your own friends, so that you can show up to a date feeling a little more open. And I keep using that word because I have noticed with my clients who have shown up to dates, and feedback that I have gotten through the years about my clients is I didn't know how they felt. If you want someone to know how you feel, show it. Like you said, with the smile, with the eyes, with your arms, with your hands. I mean, I know on a first date, it's incredibly rare that you're going to, reach over. I will say with my husband, I had a moment where I was so excited on my date with him, my very first date, that I was so excited that I felt a connection. Like I was like, oh my God, because I'd gone on so many dates where I didn't feel that I did touch him. And maybe I would have been rejected. He might call it an attack where I was kind of like pounced or something. Um, but I do advise my clients to act on your feelings a bit because I think it really warms up the date.
When you said something about the dates where they might not know that you like them or not, I feel like a great way to show that you like your date, even if you don't like your date, to lean in and
Yeah.
act like you're interested in what he or she has to say, because your date would be mimicking your energy and your facial expressions or whatever that may be. Or maybe they just need your energy to be more enthusiastic and open to them for them to copy that behavior. I feel like if you're just sitting back in your
Mhm.
chair or with your arms crossed, like
Yeah, the
that's
crossed
not,
arms. The
yeah,
crossed arms. That's something that is a non-flirting move, right?
right.
So you
Yeah.
have to actually think like I am not going to cross my arms. But I have a question for you because you work with a lot of, men. So men in general, they do, I'm just going to say it. They do need a lot of like reinforcement. Men have that ego. So if you're a female on a date going out with a man, um, they need to have, they have that ego. So maybe play it a little more, just a little more than you think going into it. If you're feeling it, because then they're going to warm up a little bit. I mean, I don't know, you're working with men a lot more, but don't you think that the men need a few more hints than women?
Yeah, I mean, it's so easy to give compliments to men because A, they don't get a whole lot of compliments
Right,
in
right,
life.
right.
So any compliment that they get, they're going to be appreciative of it. So it could just be an easy way of talking to them and flirting with them by saying, okay, so I mean, I see you're in shape. Like I could see the muscles coming through your shirt. Like, how do you stay in shape? Like what do you do? What's your routine? Like any guy would love to talk about how they're in shape and how their routine is,
Absolutely.
especially if you could see muscles bulging through their shirts. Like, of course, they're impressed that you noticed it, but it could be like the smallest thing, like, you know what, just based on me talking to you for 30 minutes, I can tell you're like really intelligent. Like, where did you go to school, or what made you, who do you think you take after, your mom or your dad or whatever? Like it could segue into different topics by giving
Right.
them a compliment, but not blatant compliment, but it's, you know, and then they feel like, okay, yeah, she's into me or whatever that may be. But
Right. I think it's interesting because we want to make the connection that, and we want the conversation to flow. And people are so worried. So when you get out of there, is he going to call? What's going to happen? But leaving a good impression. Oh, if they're going to describe you, you know what? I maybe wasn't feeling it, but he or she was incredibly warm and curious and fun. I just didn't feel maybe that it's going to go further, but that was a really great experience. And we're going to stay in touch and, maybe it'll lead to another friend or that person knows somebody or another job experience or any kind of experience. So where we're saying flirt, I think we both agree that that word is very interesting because I would rather have it be connection and warmth. And so that way, it can lead, like you're talking about the muscles, and then it can talk about sports, and then they can ask questions and all of the things that could connect us. But the word is confusing and, gives you a different kind of nervous energy, which can be good, but it can also make us more timid and scared to make that connection.
yeah, I guess maybe we should take the word flirting off the table and just say be warm and
Yeah.
be attentive and curious. And my thing is, I always like to tell clients and the people I match them up with, like, have the mentality of going into this date that you're going to have fun, that you're going to get to know this person. And even if you don't think this is going to be your partner, which
Right.
50% of the time they're not going to be, right? And it's
Right.
okay, but just enjoy yourself. But I like it when you are such a good dater and a good human being that you made that person feel good, that they want a second date. It's almost like your internal challenge. Like, you know what? What am I going to do to come to this date and be a good person that this person would like to see me again? Because if
Mhm.
you keep being a good person and you enjoy yourself, that person might reciprocate and have a good time. And who knows? I mean,
Exactly.
I did not know that I was going to marry my husband, right? Like you just don't know. Feelings develop
Correct.
over time. We bond over certain things. That's how the chemistry starts. It's not like a lot of women are going on these first dates and be like, oh my gosh, this guy's amazing. I'm going to marry him. Like, then we wouldn't have a job. It would just be so easy, you know?
That's so true. That's so true. What's your feeling? And I want to talk about this part too, about the alcohol in flirting, because, some people are sober curious these days. And some people just like to have that glass of wine. And I think they rely on it for flirting and they kind of go together. And I'm bringing up the word because that's what we're talking about. But it does warm people up to go have a glass of wine at a happy hour on a date, and it makes people feel a little more able to tap into their, warmth and open up a little bit. But nowadays, a lot of people are sober curious and they're ordering like mocktails. And it's very interesting because a couple of my clients have been sober curious and been doing the mocktail thing. And that beautiful drink that lands on the table does add this almost the same feeling, they are saying, as if it's alcohol, because so it's important. So I'm just adding this in. So if you are nervous and want to connect with a date and your date is having a glass of wine and you're not into drinking, order that beautiful mocktail, and it kind of like gets you a little more excited. Like those kind of little things can make things more fun, which can then lead to more fun communication. What's your thought
Yeah.
on that?
I'm totally a fan of that. If someone would like, you know, a drink for them to come out of their shell a little bit or relax after a long day at work, and they order a drink and they know that having that one drink is going to make them a little flirtatious, that's fine. That's great. Whatever you need to do. It could even be a man ordering an appetizer and sharing an
Mhm.
appetizer to bring that component of intimacy that you're sharing something. So that's always nice too. And for a woman to be like, hey, would you like to share something? Like,
Right.
Great. Like all those things, whatever you need to do to make you pleasant to be around and have a great time and enjoy what you're doing, mocktails, whatever, that's great. Or if you're sitting at a bar or at a table to sit side by side or,
Love the side by side.
yeah, side by side or at least right next to you, that's fine. Try not to sit completely across from each other, even at a table or something like that. Like these are all little things that you can do to make sure that you pay attention to your date. And if you are the type of person that would stare up at the screen and watch the sports playing or the news or whatever, then you know not to sit facing that way to
That's
prevent
a
you.
really good point.
Right.
Mhm.
And you could tell your date, like, you know what? I don't want to sit right here because I don't want to be staring at the screen. I want to focus on you. Like any woman or man would appreciate that. If they said that to you, you'd be like, okay, that's really nice. That's considerate, you know? So,
I think it's interesting too, the bar stools that twist. So if you are facing each other and your legs are sort of going,
yeah.
and we're talking about people who are sort of feeling that chemistry. But again, I also think if we are talking about how people are connecting and flirting and looking into each other's eyes and just sort of having that kind of communication, that naturally turning into each other face to, in the bar stool turn thing, that can make things a little sexier. And then suddenly you're like, wait a second, I like how he's looking at me while we're talking like this. And my chair is twisting too, so it's kind of funny. But um, I feel like that is kind of a good way to feel it and not say to yourself, "Oh no, am I leading him on?" Because at that point you sometimes don't know. Now, of course, we both know people will show up and say, "Oh my God, I knew right away." No, but you still want to leave a nice impression. So, you can keep your legs one way and, there's all sorts of ways. But back to the ordering an appetizer, I do know with clients, they get nervous, they're going to have food in their teeth. And then I will remind you that on my first date with my husband, I did. We went out for sushi. I had food in my teeth. And he told me, and from that night, I was like, well, I like him because it was humiliating for a minute, but it's not as big a deal as people think it is. It's just food in your teeth, So and you don't have to be all covered up and worried. I would suggest not chewing with your mouth open, but everybody gets food in their teeth. I mean, there's cracks there.
Yeah, and if they accidentally have something on their, nose or lips or whatever, it's nice when you're talking to them and be like, "Hey, Jojo, go like this," and just continue
Right.
the conversation. But you're just being normal. You're just being a good human being by telling them they have that spot. Otherwise, they use the restroom and they see that. That's even more horrifying, right? So
It is.
you just want to be a good person and help them. So,
Exactly. I took an exercise class yesterday and the teacher, I didn't notice this, but she was teaching the whole class. After the class, her husband came into class, walked right up to her and said, "Honey, you have peanut butter on your face." She came to me and she said, "Did you not tell me I had peanut butter on my face the entire time I was teaching?" And I said, "You know what? I did not see it and I 100% would have told you.
yeah.
I would have told you." So don't be afraid to cross those lines where I know so many people are sitting back saying, "I'm not going to say anything." And then they go home and tell their friend, "Oh my God, they had like this thing coming out of their nose and it was food and they didn't tell them." And then I'm like, you could have been connecting this whole time and now you don't want them because they had food coming out of their face. Anyway.
So let's say people are doing online dating. Like, how do they flirt with someone that they're sending messages to online or texting and stuff? How would you suggest they kind of be more friendly and flirtatious? Are there
And
any? Yeah.
that's a tough one. So I advise you read their profiles very carefully. And I often tell people pick out something on their profile and comment on it. I mean, that's kind of a known thing to do is, they say they like Broadway shows or they say they like, the Boston Red Sox. I'm from Boston, so I have to say the Red Sox. But you bring up, oh my gosh, I, remember that I love the Red Sox and I love when they play the Yankees. We should go to a game. I know it's in Boston. Maybe we'll meet there. Like I also try to tell them to be funny. and a little bit, let's see, like just sort of quick, funny, and not snarky to a point of rudeness at all, but catchy and interesting, and really just sort of focus on something they enjoy and that maybe someday we can do it together. I like to do a little bit. I call it flirting, even though we're, not sure how to describe flirting. I think it's important to like connecting, just a quick connection, and I like to get faster to the date.
I feel like when you're doing texting or messaging on an app, that it's a good way for you to be punny, like use puns.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of corny, even though like dad jokes can be really corny, but at least it shows that you're trying and you have a sense of humor. And
Yeah.
if a guy is trying to be funny, like just laugh. Like that's the whole point, right? Like you're not looking for somebody who really has the same sense of humor as you. I feel like men just want you to laugh at their jokes and then they'll think you have a good sense of humor. Like you don't have to be funny. If you're not the type of
Right.
person to come up with jokes, it's okay. Just make sure you laugh at other people's jokes so then they think you have a good sense of humor. So I like to be punny if I have, time to think about something. That's always a safe way to kind of break the ice a little bit. Or you can, maybe challenge them a little bit. Like, oh, so you like hiking, huh? I would love to challenge you for this 2 mile
I
hike.
love that. I
Yeah.
really love that. I think coming back with like a challenge or, meet me at this or do that, or I
Yeah.
can beat you at this race. I'm 100% with you on that. And I think it makes them a little bit like, oh, okay, we
Yeah.
can, we can do something fun. I'm with you. I'm with you on that.
But I don't like sarcasm. I mean, I used to be a really sarcastic person, and now I'm not so much sarcastic. Now I'm just like cheesy funny. But I feel like sarcasm, I don't think there's room for sarcasm on a first date or even like messaging back and forth. Like that's almost like a negative thing to me anyway. So
Right.
let your sarcasm come out later, maybe like third date or fifth date once like they're committed to you. But yeah, I feel like sarcasm is kind of mean.
I was
And
gonna say it can be
yeah,
mean. When I said snarky, it was more what
yeah,
you're saying, um, funny, snarky. But sarcasm can be seen as mean. And today, with today's day and age, people are so sensitive, and you have to be really, really careful, honestly, with the environment today and the culture. So people can get offended really quickly and then shut down. So I agree with you on
yeah.
that.
I also like how did you get your sense of humor? Like what makes you funny, Jojo? Like how do you joke around? Because you're pretty at ease when we chat offline and whatever. Like we can probably hang out for hours
Yeah.
and a lot to talk about. But how did you get your sense of humor and like how did you become funny?
Well, that's an interesting question. Well, I grew up with three brothers, and I think that automatically makes you kind of able to go with it. And you're talking about sarcasm. It was a pretty sarcastic household, and I have a twin brother. So we were side by side all the time. And I think I wanted to sometimes stand out. I was sick of having a birthday with this guy. I'm like, why don't I have my own birthday? I'm born in we had to, my mother didn't even know she was having twins. And I had the two older brothers, and she was asleep because it was 150 years ago, and they didn't know I was in there. So my brother came out, and the doctor had never heard two heartbeats. And then suddenly they were like, okay, we're done. And I guess the rumor is I stuck my hand out or something strange like that. And they're like, there's another baby in here. And I think from that moment on, I was like, I'm here. I got to make a difference. I'm going to tell people that I'm here forever and watch out. And I sort of just came out a little bit extra and outgoing. And then having the three brothers, I just needed to make a statement all the time. And it became communication for me has always been something that is so enjoyable. And it took me a long time to understand that other people have a harder time with that. And now I just want to help people get to that place where they feel comfortable because it does make life easier, you have more connections, more friends, and some people don't need that. But there are plenty of people who want it and can't figure out how to get it. And so being funny and just being a good listener and doing all those things has always been like kind of part of who I want to be. And so that's, I don't know, I guess that's why I'm here.
Oh, did you see how that question made me learn so much about you? I think that's a great first date question, right? Like, hey, how
Oh,
do you
right.
develop your sense of humor? I just learned that you're a twin, that you are outgoing, that you are raising your hand, trying to come out, and that's kind of, developed who you are. But I feel like that's a good first date question where you ask
Yeah,
somebody, because let's say you asked me that question, I would be like, you know what? I actually was sarcastic when I grew up, and I knew that sarcasm wouldn't rub people the same way. As I learned how it affected people, sometimes it would be really hurtful. And then I started watching like Big Bang Theory. I really enjoyed those
oh
shows.
yeah,
And
yeah.
then you find like, oh, comedians, like I love, Bill Burr, and I love like, Josh Johnson, like all these different comedians kind of groom your sense of humor. So I guess for people out there who feel like they're not funny, A, they can laugh at other people's jokes, so they seem like they have a good sense of humor. And B,
Totally.
they should actually start watching comedians on YouTube or whatever, these videos on Facebook. Like it's so easy to
You're
develop
right.
humor.
You're right. Do you feel like it was a defense mechanism for you to be sarcastic, like growing up?
Maybe it's because I did date a guy who was sarcastic. So then we started communicating that way with sarcasm, and he rubbed off on me where I learned sarcasm to talk back to him and stuff. So
Got
I
it.
think that, it's like who you hang out with, right? Like you act like who you're around. So I was around a very sarcastic person. So I thought, oh, that's the way to communicate. He likes that kind of style of communication. And then once we broke up, I was still communicating that way to
Right.
men. And then I quickly learned, oh, that's actually not the way to go. So you just learn, right? From different
You
people in
learn,
your
you
life.
learn. Yeah.
Yeah.
My husband is sarcastic, and I noticed he had a few issues with a couple people who were hurt by a couple things. And
Yeah.
he recently said that to me. He said, when I love somebody, it's the closer I am to a person where my sarcasm, I'm only sarcastic to you if I'm so close to you. Like he'll say that, and other people might take offense. So I think it's funny. And I think we do have to be a little sensitive to a lot sensitive to other people's feelings around these things. But it is the way, the banter. I think what we're also talking about is a banter. And a banter on a first date, or a banter in a relationship, or a banter with your friends. It just makes it fun. Life is about all of these connections. And again, going on these dates is just part of meeting new people and experiencing like something that could be really, really special. That's a really important part of my life. And I hope that as a matchmaker, I am explaining that to my clients so that they can look at this like it's an experiment. It's all those things, instead of all the fear and just making such a big deal about it. Chill out,
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, in summary, obviously we're both matchmakers. And what really is confusing for me is when two people are on a date and then we get the post date feedback. And one person says, you know what, I don't know if he liked me or if he how he would feel. I would like to see him again, but I actually couldn't read him. Or
Right.
or a guy would say that about a woman, and I'm like, how do people go on a date and like not communicate how they feel about this person? It could be the simplest thing as, gosh, you know what? I had such a great time with you. I would love to do this again. And or if you don't like them, then you could say, wow, I had a great time tonight. I just don't feel like there's a connection, but I wish you the best of luck. Like it should be clear how you feel about somebody.
Oh, I know. And we haven't been there for a little while, but and I think that is is complicated still. And I think we still have ways to go to figure out how to make that seem more seamless and easier for people. Do you remember the days, I'm going to date myself, of answering machines? I think I did talk about this on social media, but when you would run home to see if they called you. I mean, now we're all about the texting and things. And I remember my answering machine broke and the little tape broke and the little thingy that was with the tape. And I was so upset because I didn't know if the guy called, and I ran to another friend's house and tried to stick it in her answering machine. And just those days of mystery. So now you're either ghosted, you'll get a text, and it's just a very different way. Things end more quickly. And even though you can communicate right away, I think that things just are a little, I don't know. I kind of do miss the old days. I don't know for these
So,
people.
knowing what you know now as a matchmaker and these clients going out on dates, men and women, how would you advise women out there to let the guy know that she's interested? What are some steps that they can take during the date, after the date? How would you advise women to let the guy know that, hey, I want to go on a second date?
Well, I think it goes back to what we started with, where we've now called this kind of like a flirting situation, and then we talked about it being communicating and just connecting. And I think many of the ways would be during the date to show a little more like affection and smiles with the eyes and with the things we said and the warmth, just that warmth. And then again, somebody can be warm and still not interested in that person. So I think we definitely have to not, in my opinion, not be scared to be rejected, because we have to put ourselves out there, and not everybody is for everybody. So if you say, I really had a great time, I feel like we connected, and if you don't feel that way, I would love to know, but I would love to see you again. Just stop fearing the rejection, because you have been through so much in this world. One date rejection is not going to break you, even two dates. So don't be scared to say how you feel and to show how you feel. That's how I feel. That's how I advise my clients.
I feel like sometimes when people go on dates, they're actually looking at the guy. Let's say this woman, she's great, she's a great catch. And sometimes I feel like the women go on these dates and they're looking for the man to impress her. Like she's almost, in my mind, I'm thinking like, oh, she's just sitting back with her arms crossed and waiting for him to impress her. So she's not revealing how she feels about him. Like, do you get that sometimes
Yes.
from the
Yeah. I
clients? Like,
think it's like an interview.
right, right.
Mhm.
Like, why are people doing that? It's not an interview. It's actually kind of like you're trying to sell yourself to this man or woman and to be a good dater. I keep saying, like, just be a good dater, and you just never know, because first date is kind of awkward, right? Like you're running around,
It
you're going to a new place that you don't know where to park, and you're probably a few minutes
is.
because you just came from work and you didn't change your work outfit or whatever. And this person maybe kind of looks like his photos, but you're not sure. And
Right.
all those things, like, I totally get it. First dates are pretty awkward. But if there's no red flags or yellow flags, like, why not give him or her a chance? Like, you just never know. The second date can be amazing because now you know what he looks like. Now you kind of know what to expect. Now
I
you
agree.
know he wants kids. You know he wants to get married. Like, now go and have fun and just relax. Like, why are people, you know, being so protective of their time? They won't even give this guy another 2 hours to
I
see if,
agree a hundred
yeah.
percent. I think it's such a bummer when clients don't go out on that second date. They really feel like they know. And we know, honestly, more than they do about this. And we both try to advise. I mean, I know most matchmakers that I have spoken to, second dates are actually really, really important. Unless there's a red or yellow flag, go on the second date.
Yeah.
Agree.
Yeah.
I agree with
It's
you, is what
it's
I'm saying.
almost like, just give me the date feedback, but just tell me the green flags that you notice. Like, I don't even want to talk about the red flags or the
Right.
yellow flags. Like, man, it's just knowing what I know now. Obviously, we're both married. And if we were to be single, today, I feel like I would be a really good dater. I feel like being single can be fun, it can be challenging, and you can do well doing online dating, but you have to put in the effort. Like I feel like online dating can be great, hiring a matchmaker can be great, but you have to like give it all you got, not just go in there and go through the motions of texting people but not really reading their profile, or messaging but not really reading their profile and asking them a specific question. Like you have to do the work.
I agree. And I think, being that we're both married, it is interesting to come at it and from this perspective, because we both think that. I think I'd be a great dater too. We're not as tired because people get that fatigue about, dating and online dating. And we're standing here like, oh my God, this looks really fun. I've been married 27 years. I'll go do it. But I'm sure they have their reasons for being tired, which is why we need to be, their advocate. We need to motivate them. We got to get them all fired up because I'm sure there's a burnout. We know
Yeah.
there's a burnout. But yes, I have learned an unbelievable amount as a matchmaker, and I feel and you have too, and we know how to guide them. And I really think that, it's really important to listen to some of the stuff we said to help move it right
Yeah.
along and just,
Yeah.
stay open.
No, I get it. Dating is and can be tough. I'm not discounting that it is not, because you want to put in the time and effort to find your person. So I get it. I didn't mean to get all this hate
No,
from
no, no,
people.
no, no. No, I know you didn't mean that. And I think it's funny because I'll say that all the time and I'll think it in my head. So no hate mail to us,
Yeah.
but we are just, we are excited for all of you who are in it and want you to find your person. And we do have, we have some tricks and tips. So that's
Yeah.
all we're saying. And we're not burnt out. We're just, we
Well,
get burnt out in our marriage, but
yeah.
that's
Well, Jojo, thank you so much for joining me today.
I
Before I
loved it.
let you go, what is there any last tip you want to give us that is specific to dating that you thought, gosh, this is something that I learned, a big aha moment that no one knows, but I feel strongly about this dating tip. What is that?
Oh, I just think don't even in the flirting, don't wink. I don't like the winks. That's what I'm gonna leave you with. I think we covered a lot of tips, so I don't really have much to add except the corny wink. I'm not into it.
Okay.
And let matchmakers help you.
Jojo, thank you so much for joining me today from Boulder, Colorado. I am near Colorado Springs, Colorado, so we're like neighbors right now, and
Yeah.
so much fun talking to you. I
It was
really
so
appreciate
great.
it. Yeah.
Thank you
And
so much. I loved it.
I will put all of your information in the show notes. And for ladies out there, for me to find you, you have to fill out a profile with me at twoasianmatchmakers.com. So I know what you look like. Send me some photos, some headshots, some body shots. And then if you need help out there, I would love to help you meet a nice Asian woman in Asia or all across the US. So